When you have a problem but don't know where to turn for help, call the Community Chest Information and Referral Center at 244-3728.
MASH today at 5:30 on 13 Strong.
You've met, though, huh?
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
you have meetings and everything?
Well, not as often as we'd like, because most of us are busy with other activities, but we're sort of new.
The organization, though, is intended to, what? Make women feel better about being at home with the kids? Do I understand this right?
Right, exactly.
Because you feel what?
We feel that it's important and beneficial and fulfilling for both the mother and the child.
And we feel that society is giving the opposite message, that it's been gradually wearing away the idea that motherhood has a lot to say, a lot to do, is providing the most valuable service society could. And we think, why has this happened? How could this be? The most important thing society can do is the support for it is ebbing away. So before it's all gone, we want to save it from drowning.
Yeah. What worries you most?
Do you want to answer
Just
that?
give me some,
Well, the biggest worry I have is for the next generation. I really worry about those kids.
Because they're being, what, raised?
Well, because I don't think we know enough about what's exactly going to happen to them, and I don't think we know enough about the effects that we think we have figured out as far as what the woman should be. I don't think we know enough about really how that's affecting them. We have ideas, I mean, we have sort of hints that people aren't paying much attention to. I mean, the kids are sort of trying to speak out to us, and I don't know that we're really hearing it.
Okay, here's what I hear you saying. It troubles you that so many women with school-age children are going out to work outside the home.
Or preschool age.
Preschool, especially. I mean, the school age, that gets a little, there are gray areas there. It depends on, how much.
So that there are the fact that there are so many young children whose mothers are not with them during the daytime, is that it?
Right, for long periods of time. That's the problem. I mean, a child doesn't have a concept of time. They don't have a concept of, when you say I'll be home at 6 and a child is 2, from 9 in the morning till 6 is a long, long time for them.
Yeah. And you think, is it your view that media has kind of fostered the notion that you're better if you go out to work?
Yeah, I think we think that's happened, that it's become the idea that who would want to stay home with children, who would want to stay home inside a house and have no one to talk to all day? Why would anyone want to do that now that women are college educated? The women's movement, which we're not downgrading at all, has given every woman a choice. But we're just standing up here to say this is a very positive choice. It's not like, well, I got nothing better to do, so I guess I'll stay home with the kids.
And it's a choice that people do make. That's what's amazing. Society nowadays doesn't recognize it that way. A lot of times people think that you got into this by accident. Surely there must be something wrong with you if you went to school and you became educated and, why would you want to do this? I mean, what's wrong? Was it an accident, or now you just stuck there? Are you ever going to get out?
Yeah, but it does drive you crazy, doesn't it?
Sometimes, sure.
That doesn't
any job,
Everybody's huh? Well, wait a minute. How do you mean? Stand up for me?
I'll be glad to. It drives you crazy staying home. Other jobs drive you crazy. We've all experienced it. I am of the belief that to stay home is very important, and to get out a little bit for a little work, it's very important too.
Yeah, but the husband gets out for a lot of work.
Yeah, he does. But he gets out for a tough grind too.
Yeah. It's more important for the mother to be home in the first 5 years of life of a child than the father?
In most cases. Most cases, the woman is more geared to that.
Yeah, in our group, we're not all unified on that question. A lot of us feel we'd want to be. We just want to, and we hope our husbands won't try to take that away from us. But some of the women in our groups, their husband, in fact, one girl's husband did want to stay home, and they discussed it. She ended up with the opportunity to stay home. But some of our group feel like it doesn't matter. It could be the man. And most of us feel that as the child gets away from that early infancy stage, the father could just as well take the role.
It's the infancy stage that I think is very crucial. After that, I think both people could easily be interchangeable, and sometimes it's good. I mean, it would be great.
Everybody agrees here, huh? Okay, huh? Who said no? What's the matter? Well, tell me, Heidi.
My brother-in-law stays home. He has stayed home from the time both children have been infants. And he has two, well, the one is only 10 months old now, but he has two very well-adjusted children. And he has stayed home from infancy. She could not stay home. She doesn't have the stamina to be home confined. She has to go out. But he does, very well.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they have any problem with that. The point that, I guess one of the things that's important to you is that one parent be home, huh?
Right.
Right. That's interesting, though, because the problem we see, too, is that it's unfortunate. A lot of people, I think, could do this job, and they would be very good at it. But we don't have enough to sort of encourage them to do it. Some women go crazy much easier nowadays, I think, because there isn't a lot of media that can say to them, listen, this is how to go about it. There aren't classes to say, these are things that will help relieve that tension. We are finding ways, and we're starting to develop ways among ourselves and try to learn more and more about them. But they are there if people could be a little more educated in it.
I think it's a sad commentary on today's society that the word housewife has a bad connotation. I think that the family unit is the basic unit of our society, and that women should want to stay home.
But the statement implies that women who don't want to stay home are somehow not as good.
That's what I think is bad. I think women try to find a different word for domestic engineer, homemaker, and these words are all good. But why are you afraid to say housewife?
That's right.
I think it's a beautiful thing. I don't think anyone can raise my children better than I can myself. I feel better qualified.
Why do you think so many women are working?
I think it started maybe with the war, and women started to go out and work and found this is a good place to be. And I think if the financial things in your home are pressing and you need to work, I think that's fine. But I agree with them that young
What do you mean you
children-
think that's fine?
If you need the second income in your home, then I think a woman should be working if she has to help. But then I think the quality of time that you place with your children is very important.
But so many, more than half the families in this country have to have two incomes in order to survive.
That's true.
Okay, but I guess my question is, when we stand up and suggest that somehow not staying home with your kid is dishonorable, and that's the implication of these statements, you make a lot of people feel guilty.
I don't think...
And resentful.
Guilty. I don't think so.
It's almost as though you can't be a good mother anymore unless you can afford it.
That's right. We just had Mother's Day, and I think we should remember what a beautiful word mother is.
That's interesting, too, though, in that a lot of people seem to think that it depends on your priorities, too. I know there are people that have to work, and they don't have the choice, and that's respected, and nobody would deny that. But there's a lot of people who are starting to find that they require a lot more than I think they need, and when it comes down to what I need is 4 vacations instead of 1, and 3 cars instead of 2, then it's a matter of how you base your priorities also.
Is it your feeling that a lot of people are into luxuries? Is that it?
Yes. Oh, sure.
So that a lot of the women working today are working only because they want to, what, keep up with the Joneses, or for reasons that you
Or
don't...
maybe they really think they need these things. You know,
I
this is
wouldn't
what-
say that's a lot,
That's
but
just what I was
a
going to
number.
ask when you said about 2 incomes, half the people need it. I think the more you get, the more you can spend. And if I went back to work right now, I know I could spend it rapidly, and I would need more next month.
Yeah, you have children.
3.
And the oldest is?
8, and the youngest is 7 months.
And you think for you to go out to work would be?
Maybe it's selfish. I don't want anyone else seeing my baby take his first steps, him talking to someone else first. And I don't think anyone can take care of them like I can.
As far as the issue of people who have to work, we recognize there are single parents and people whose incomes are such that they have to work. We would like to see a movement, a pro-kids movement, make society in general so aware of the importance of motherhood that it will do something, whatever it takes, to change that so that every woman will have the choice. It used to be women stayed home and had no choice, had to stay home and take care of the kids. Now we're seeing the opposite. Where is the women's movement provided a choice for these women who say, I'd love to stay home with my kids, but we can't afford it? They have no choice. And we hope that pro-kids will raise consciousness in this country so that we'll start spending some of our dollars instead of on, the Defense Department and all those things to where we really need it, to enable all women to have the choice to raise their kids.
I work by choice, and I don't have to work. My husband makes a good salary. I'm a little nervous. But I would like the consciousness raised for people to get into part-time situations.
Yeah.
Now, I went back to work when my son was 6 months old. He's 2 years old now. And I worked full-time for 5 years in a company as an employment counselor, and my boss didn't feel that it could be possible that you could make a part-time situation doing the same job, and I had 9 months to talk him into it, and it's worked out perfectly. I go into work 2 days a week, 3 days I'm home, and I use the phone, and I do it for an ego thing. I don't do it for the money. You know, I want to get in there and have something else besides being with my son. I enjoy being with him when I'm with him.
Oh, sure, and everybody needs a break, too. And I think that whatever way you can find to find it, it's going to make you better when you do come back to the situation.
But see, I get upset with the either-or situation. I have friends that go back to work on a full-time basis when their kids are, you know, 6 weeks old. And they say they do it because there's no other alternative. And people aren't pushing that there can be professional level jobs on a part-time basis.
Right, that's a big point.
And that's what I'd like to see more.
What do you do?
I'm a private employment counselor in a private employment agency. And,
So you counsel people, assess their skills and their histories, and try to place them, huh?
and I just take fewer applicants.
Yeah. But you had to sort of finagle to get your boss to understand that you could do this, you could meet these responsibilities on a part-time. So what are your part-time hours now?
I go in 2 days a week, and then I make calls when Matthew takes a nap at home, and I make calls.
Telephone
as I
calls.
can. Yeah, telephone calls. Yeah, and he goes in the basement and plays.
Yeah. And you have your husband's support.
Yes.
And Matthew was 8 months when...
6 months old. 6 months old.
And he's now 2. How about guilt? Did you have any of that?
No, I thought it was great. I feel real good.
You didn't have, a mother-in-law or mother saying, "Oh, going away, huh? You're working?"
No, I feel, I don't even think about him when I'm at work. I don't want to call him, call the babysitter. I just feel, well, of course I feel real comfortable with the babysitter. So that's probably a lot of it. I feel she loves him.
Yeah. But a lot of that babysitter salary is being lopped off your income.
Yes.
Okay, but even so, you still work.
It's an ego thing.
But you are Exhibit A you're at the center of this whole controversy. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I'm trying to figure out how. There are people out there who feel, and you've established that you don't have to work. Financially, your husband's doing well. And they think you're the person that should stay home.
Well, I think that people
wouldn't
get
say
upset
that.
when people work full-time
That's
and
what we're
are away
talking about.
most of the time. And
Right.
I feel if there could be more of an emphasis on promoting professional part-time positions. Many people don't want to go back to work part-time as a choice because the only choice available to them is to maybe be a secretary, and they don't want to be a secretary or whatever. And if companies could be more aware that women do want careers and they do want to be mothers at the same time, and they don't want to give up either one, and they want a compromise. And
is it unrealistic to expect companies to do that for fathers as well?
well, if fathers
In other words,
start-
the question is, there are some purists who would ask, why should the woman have to beg and finagle and talk her boss into part-time responsibilities so that she can be a mother? Why don't we have the same enthusiasm on the part of men encouraging employers to let them be spend more time as fathers?
Why don't women be more enthusiastic in trying that to begin with? I mean, a lot of women say, I can't make my job part-time. It's impossible, and boom, that's it. So they're not pushing it either, in my opinion.
All right, thanks. Well, some friends and I have been wrestling with the same problem. We had professional positions before we had children, but we strongly believe that our children need us at home, too. And we're really interested in the concept of job sharing and whether or not that could be promoted more with another person. Let's say 2 of us have the same professional job, and I work Mondays and Wednesdays, and she works Tuesdays and Thursdays, she or he. And Fridays we both come in so that we can compare notes and keep in touch. And some people do this in professional jobs so that then they also have real career advancement, real challenge, but they've got a couple of days a week that they can be a Girl Scout leader and they can do the other things, and they haven't walked out on their children.
That's so important because I think that part of the problem that women have when they try to think in terms of, I will be raising this child, and what am I going to do? Am I going to turn into some kind of a home person to the point where I won't even know what I'm doing afterwards? Am I going to be lost? If they can keep a good self-concept and find time to do something else, when that final day comes and those children really don't have to have you with them all the time, it's easier to get back into the step of things, and it's easier to say, now I feel like I was ready all the time, and I don't feel like I suffered at all.
Pro Kids is the organization you formed. You've got dues and everything?
Oh, no, it's nothing like that.
All right, well, but you really are organized.
It's a group of friends.
All right, just one more time. It was organized to counteract what?
The feeling that motherhood is not a profession or not a choice that anyone would make alongside of another job. We're saying it is a job. I think this is the first generation for whom being a mother as a professional person is a choice, because the past generations, all they did when they stayed home was they barely could keep the meals and the laundry. There was none of the modern conveniences. Now, if you're home, you have some time to spend with your children, but it's an art that hasn't been developed. A lot of people just don't know what to do with the kids, but they do know what to do with a typewriter. So maybe that's why some people choose that. It's a lot less frustrating. And we'd like to say if women got together, or the fathers, who's ever home, and supported one another, taught one another, shared their experiences, it could be very creative, very challenging.
There are a lot of people that don't know how to play with their kids. They don't even think they're supposed to do that. It's kind of like, well, I'm here, and if I'm going to be a mother now, I guess they still have the old concept of what a mother used to be. Not to say that the mothers weren't good, but they were slaves. I mean, it was, we've got to cook, we've got to iron. They didn't have any more time for the kids than, you know.
A lot of them resented it, too.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
How many mothers threw that food at those kids? There's your sit down. Shut up. Lucky you got it. Laura Spazzeri is here, and so is Sue Leary. Both are with Pro Kids. That's the name of your outfit.
That's right.
What do you think about all this? We hope you'll join us.
From Chicago, you're now in touch with Donahue. On today's Donahue, Sue Leary, a former teacher, mother of two, and founder of Pro Kids, joins Phil to discuss the declining respect for children and mothering in America, and shares some ways career mothers can improve their mothering skills.
When the sun sets your skin on fire, soothe that sunburn with Noxema. It cools sunburned skin, reduces skin temperature on contact to relieve pain instantly. And greaseless Noxema can stretch your tan, too. It moisturizes skin so your tan looks better longer. To soothe a burn, to stretch a tan, get greaseless medicated Noxema, the good skin cream.
Billy, come back!
Just doesn't want a bath.
Well, I know what I want. To taste of good old-fashioned lemonade.
Country time.
With natural lemon flavor.
Tastes like good old-fashioned lemonade.
Not too tart, not too sweet.
Country Time lemonade flavored drink. Unsweetened, too.
Country time, country time. Tastes like that good old-fashioned lemonade.
We always make our Kugelmuffin the same way.
Well, I made it with Promise margarine.
The old way was delicious.
Mama, we are cutting down on fats and cholesterol. Promise is made with clear, light sunflower oil. It's low in saturated fats and has no cholesterol.
But the taste.
Promise tastes light, not greasy. Mama?
Sometimes you can make a good thing even better.
Promise can make a good thing even better.
Ma, we didn't invite you here to clean the kitchen.
I don't mind.
At least take another paper towel. You've been using that one for half an hour.
It's perfectly fine.
Ma, it's disposable.
But it's still good.
Introducing Bolt, a disposable paper towel so close to cloth that in tests it actually stood up to a washing machine. Here's Scott Towels, here's Bounty, and here's Bolt.
Drop it, Ma.
It's still good.
Drop it.
It's still good.
Drop it.
Bolt, the cloth-like paper towel.
Have formed an organization called Pro Kids. They feel, among other things, that media sort of suggests that motherhood is really not altogether that honorable position, and that in this age of so-called liberation, there are too many women who, are encouraged to leave the house for reasons that may be less challenging than staying home.
Right. They don't know what it could be to be a mother.
And that economy is not always the reason. A lot of times it has to do with luxury and the reach for a golden ring that may be beyond your grasp. Or
Achievement versus real relationships.
I have a conflicted point of view. I have a mom who stayed home with all of us till my sister was 13. Then, at the age of 45, went on to get a college degree and become a teacher. So for a long time, I thought a serial career was the answer. First, stay home with the kids, then get your education, whatever. And my own background was that I gave up a teaching career to stay home with my kids. And I've been home for 12 years. I've always managed to go back, though, to school, to work, and I'm not so sure that a serial career is the answer for every mother. It was the right thing for me. I'm very happy I was home with them, and I would not have changed it for the world. I'm now a Lamaze teacher, an ASPO certified Lamaze teacher, and I see many, many parents coming to my classes to learn about how to have a baby. And seeing people coming from not just middle-class families, but situations where the mother needs to go back to work, or where the mother is a lawyer or a doctor, and quitting work would mean being out of step with all of the men in her profession, has really made me rethink the idea of serial careers. I wonder if a trial lawyer stepping back and staying home could keep up with a career that a guy in the same profession was in. I really doubt it. I wonder if a doctor could do the same thing.
Well, this is where a real choice of values comes into play. You have to stop and think, what do I owe the child? What does the child have a right to expect when he's born of his mother? And what's going to make you happiest at the end of your life to realize you achieved that notoriety as a lawyer, that competence, maybe you did great things with your law degree, or that you developed a human being who was capable of loving and passing on the tradition of loving. And I don't think a lawyer, I don't think someone has to stop their career dead either. They could, don't you think they could keep it up somehow, keep their finger in it enough to keep fresh? It shouldn't be either or.
Well, let me ask this question to someone that, say, works full-time and has the baby like a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, has the baby and immediately goes back to work. I would like to know then, what was the point of having the baby to begin with?
Well, I would like to point the direction towards the children. And I think the formative years are the years that they are needed at home more than any other time. After they're in school, they make friends and they're not so frightened at mother leaving. And I think that when things have gone like their first steps or their first words and all those are things that are gone by, and you can't go back and pick them up. Right. They're gone.
Yeah. There's something to be said for the idea of a motherhood career, if you take it seriously as a profession, that it could extend indefinitely and be just as important. Some woman was talking to us during the break about how she feels that the teenage years are almost as important as the early years.
Yes.
So if a woman is still following this career when their children are teenagers, there should be no one questioning, why isn't she going back to work now? Now's the time she could get away. Maybe she feels that she still has a lot left to give them, and she probably does.
Yes.
Have either of you girls come across any men that now, with there being so many women in the workforce, turn to their wives who are home, like you say, with the young children, and choose to be and say, well, okay, your kids are starting school. You don't do anything during the day. Why don't you get a job? It's almost like the men resent you choosing to be at home, doing the PTO, doing the brownies, doing the Girl Scouts, doing the phoning, the taking the kids to lessons, watching TV. I mean, just doing things at your own pace, enjoying it, being happy, and feeling like you're contributing.
Yeah. Is this what you do?
Yes.
And you like it?
Yes, I enjoy it, and I haven't made the choice to go back to work yet.
All right, but who's resentful?
I think the husband is.
A lot of times
What does the husband want you to do?
Get some type of a job. But I think it would be completely different if I turned around and got a job and was gone from 9 till 5 and came home and he had to do some of the cooking.
Mm-hmm.
He had to put forth more than he is at this point and be much more of a contributing party.
How do you feel about the fact that so many husbands are not contributing to the family well-being?
I think a lot more of them are beginning to.
Yeah, but how do you feel about those who don't?
I complain a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
But on the other...
I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair of them.
Look, if you're going to do all this for the kids, and you and I are married, I'm going to let you.
Agree. I think men taking that attitude are I don't understand it.
Well, but why should they do anything when you're doing it all?
Because they're missing something. They're missing a chance for their own development. And that's another thing we've got to make people see, that doing so much for the kids is doing for yourself at the same time.
Let's listen to what she's saying. She's saying, I enjoy doing the PTO and brownies and all of the things and making the house nice. I enjoy that. And in the same breath, she's angry with a husband who doesn't seem to take any part in all of this.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying I have found a few husbands at this point with so many wives going back to work or getting part-time jobs, just doing something. They think that if you're a housewife, because you're not working and bringing in an income, you're not doing anything. You are doing nothing. And then, and you talk to other women, and you're busy all the time. You're going here, you're going there, and you're running a household, doing all the piddly-wat little things that somebody has to do.
Right.
Well, we
spend a lot of time doing piddly-what? Could this... But how can you expect husbands to be grateful for people in charge of piddly-what?
Let him stay home for a day and try and be in charge of himself.
In other words, you're at one time angry that you're not being respected and appreciated for the work you're doing, and in the next breath you're saying you're doing piddly-what. Who's going to respect people in charge of piddly-what?
That's a job that nobody really likes to do, but somebody has to do it.
No, but our husbands have to be informed and educated, too, to a certain extent. My husband is a very good husband, but he learned a lot from me. He was not prepared. I mean, his concept of what a father was, I'm lucky he was an eager student, because a lot of people aren't. But we have to teach them, too. And that's where we come into points, too, as far as education, as far as parenting. Mother and father, neither one is really prepared for this experience. If we could get some better education programs, even starting within the schools, to teach children that this is not something that, just you come upon, and when you have a baby, it's just like the commercial, and, the baby smiles and all this kind of stuff. It's not always like that. And the husband has a concept in his mind of, well, I guess I remember my dad coming home from work and reading the paper, and not that my husband was like, men are getting a little more enlightened, but they need to learn, and it's up to us to teach them.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Switching from eyeglasses to sunglasses can be very inconvenient. Unless you have photo gray extra lenses. Indoors, they're eyeglasses. Outdoors, they darken to sunglasses in less than 60 seconds.
You can purchase Corning's fastest, darkest lens in designer frames when you have your prescription filled or duplicated at Lane's Optical Centers.
Baby sham, wine drink, fine drink, her drink. What does baby say?
Good.
Baby sham, light taste, bright taste, nice taste. What does baby say?
Good.
Baby sham, a delicious wine drink with a light, easy taste baby will love. What does baby say?
Good.
Baby sham.
When you go to buy an Amana Radar Range microwave oven, just remember, all microwave ovens are not alike. For example, these Amana Radar Range ovens have an exemption from the federal regulation requiring a safety warning label. No other company in the world can make this claim. After tests like this, And this. There was no leakage in excess of federal standards. A Manor radar range. The first microwave oven with a memory, now with rotowave cooking system.
Available at Geyer TV, Cary, Upper Sandusky and Forest, Ohio, and Frank Sales, Bowling Green.
Some great industry, some fine restaurants. One of the best is the Porch of the Maidens. Excellent food, outstanding service. And today, when everyone is raising in prices, we're holding them down. And now, the Porch is introducing a brand new concept called Early Fare. Visit the Porch anytime between 4 and 6:30 p.m. and take advantage of the Early Fare menu with its smaller portions and smaller prices. Visit the Porch on the Central Avenue Strip.
Pretend you're a lawyer and you're married to a lawyer, and you have a baby. You should get, so your husband can, it's not, economy is not the problem. You can afford, you can live on his salary. You should suspend your practice of law to raise the baby in the formative years.
Or not have a baby. Wait.
What'd you say about piddlywad? Well, wait, excuse me. You should what?
I said you should raise the child, and he should do the piddlywat. That would solve everything.
Except that a lot of people...
Piddlywat. Important piddlywat.
Okay.
Why do we have
but
to say suspend the career?
Why what?
Cut back.
A lot of thought went into that baby. You didn't just conceive a child. Oh, heavens, we're all of a sudden we're pregnant. Now what are we going to do? You had to put some thought into that if you really wanted the child.
Her responsibility to suspend the practice of law is greater than his, in order to stay home, is greater than his.
They had to have talked that out before. And irregardless, if she didn't want to stay home with the baby or if he preferred to stay home with the baby, you had to have talked that out before. That's what's the matter with it. If you know...
Everything is so planned today. I don't understand this whole talk show, to be honest. Everything is planned.
But you don't understand.
Well, everything is so planned. Everything is planned out. And we keep talking about the same things. This isn't something new, pro-kids. All these people here are pro-kids. The whole audience is pro-kids. But I don't understand why we continue to talk the same problems over when this is a free country. Everyone does do what they want. You'll all go home tomorrow, and the world will go on, and there will be us housewives who love to stay home and take care of our children, and there will be mothers who go out to work. And I really don't know if we're ever going to change.
Well, which is the better choice, isn't yours?
I don't know if there is a better,
Well, we'd hope to encourage them that there is a better choice.
Well,
we think there is, and that's the purpose of pro-kids.
And we don't, even though this audience all agrees, every time you pick up the paper or turn on the TV, you hear somebody citing a new study that shows, oh, the kids whose mothers are working are doing much better than the kids whose mothers are home. They're more independent, as if that's the only way to judge how well a child feels about himself. He's independent.
And very aggressive. Very good.
I'm a mother who stays home with the children because I love them. I had 5 of my own. The first 4 were within 4 years. My husband is right home now with 8 children under 5, so I can be a Phil Donahue show. He's on vacation. But he loves children. And I love children, and that's why we had them. And they're both ours. I think even you raised your children, if I read rightly. And I think it's a two-way street. Fathers should have just as much say and do and concern with the children because they love them. And they want to get involved with their boys in Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts and stuff. Now, I do babysit for quite a few different people. Some of the people have to work because of financial problems or trying to just have a house. Some of the children are very, very well off, but there are some that will call me Mommy, and I feel bad for the mothers, like, gosh, that would bother me if my kids are calling somebody else Mommy.
Yes.
I have a question for you two. How old are your children? Mine are 3 and 4.5.
And mine are almost 4 and 17 months.
Okay. I have children in school, and I've run all the time. There's no way, one way I'm reading this, and I agree with staying home with the children, but I have to get out. I think I'm a better mother getting out. I know I am.
Oh, we agree.
I know you do. But I also believe that older children need their mothers, too.
Definitely.
And I think
I think but I also still need to get out too, even though I have older children
Yeah,
too.
we don't want mothers to feel like martyrs, like they're not entitled
Right.
to a moment of their own. It's all self-sacrifice and giving. They have
But
to
I
have
don't
their
think
outlet.
there's any way in the world I personally could stay home for 17 straight years and raise my children.
Oh, if you
and
could,
be
you'd be a
sane.
much better person than anybody here, that's for sure.
You know, though, Phil, I think it is a real world, and right now the economy is so bad that more than half of mothers with preschool children have to work. I'm lucky I'm not one of them. But what can we do about these moms who have to put their children in centers for 8, 9, 10 hours a day and live with that idea? Is there something we can do for these people? I think that we do something for, we subsidize the airlines and we subsidize the farmers. How about subsidizing mothers who have chosen to stay home with their children and perhaps are working part-time? Or let's find some alternatives for these moms who have to work. What are some ideas from the audience about what we can do? Because there are moms who have to work.
No, I don't. Well, I feel that in my case, I don't have to go to work. I work for a few months at a time and stay home for a few months.
This woman wants to know what we're going to do about, this is a nice, well-dressed, white, well-coiffed audience. And we do, as members of the human community, have some obligation to wonder about those who don't have the luxury of living on one income, or those who are single parents in this age of disintegrating social structures and so on, and with more and more single-parent families, more and more divorces, more and more absentee fathers, more and more delayed or totally absent alimony or child support checks, all of these things. Now what are we going to do about those people?
Oh, dear.
Well, I guess I'm not asking you to be, to be Solomon, except that I think a lot of the judgments we bring to this kind of discussion do not really account for the fact that there are millions and millions of people who can't afford to stay home and who have latchkey kids not because they don't love them, but because they've got to feed them.
Well, as a military wife for 20 years, I saw a lot of women that stayed home and right next door went to work. And I found that as the military brats, as they're called, the next door people were just as well adjusted as the ones that did not go to work or did go to work. In my own case, I find that when I'm working, my children behave just as well as when I'm home, and my husband cooperates. And I really feel that a person should do what they want to do, man or woman. And if I want to go to work and get a new dress or help my 2 children through college, which I did for a while, I feel that that's my privilege.
But the suggestion, I think, is that those who do that aren't pro-kids.
Yeah, where does the child's choice to
That's
do what he
right.
wants to do come in? He's denied that. If you ask him what he likes to...
Oh, dear, oh, dear. I've got an 8-year-old and I have a 21-year-old. And I raised them completely different. I was home for my 21-year-old all the time. And I would say my 8-year-old, who sees less of me, is much more adjusted.
Well, I think that maybe it would be interesting to ask that child, as I used to teach at the upper grade levels before I became a mother and a homemaker. And I think it was very interesting to find that when children can express that desire, when they can express what they really feel, even after adolescent years, you'll find that there are many cases where they will come right out and say, I resented that you were not there when I needed you.
I was one of those children. I was like in 7th grade when my mother went to work, and I felt rejected. I was the type of kid that when I came home, I wanted Mom to know what I had done that day in school.
Even
and a
15
babysitter
minutes,
didn't
right?
make up for that,
That's
you know?
right, even if it was 15
We'll be back in just a moment.
In 1970, a book was published that was to become the #1 best-selling nonfiction book of the decade, selling over 15 million copies. The Late Great Planet Earth by Hal Lindsey remarkably predicted Russian expansion into the Middle East, as well as other events that have since taken place. Many of the book's readers have questioned, where are we right now in relation to Bible prophecy, and what is likely to happen next? Here is the author of that extraordinary book, Mr. Hal Lindsey.
Many astounding events have taken place since I wrote Late Great 10 years ago, especially in the past 2 years. As a result of these events, and those which have taken place in the past few months, I've felt a deep sense of urgency to write a new book, one that addresses many of the vital questions that have been raised in the light of these events. Questions like, why are the Russians so busy in the Persian Gulf and Africa? What is the significance of recent visions by 3 of Israel's Orthodox rabbis that the Messiah is about to make his appearance? How close are we to an all-out confrontation with Russia? Is the current U.S. and Western economic system on the verge of revision or collapse? And where does the U.S. fit into Bible prophecy? In my new book, The 1980s, Countdown to Armageddon, I've looked at each of these questions in great detail. No other generation has ever had a greater need to understand Bible prophecy. Because things are changing so fast around us, I've also prepared a 1-hour message that can be played on any record or cassette player. I review Bible prophecy in general, as well as update how the most recent events fit into it. Here's how to order.
Call toll-free 1-800-345-6400. When your package arrives, pay just $12.95 plus COD postage. If you wish to charge your order to MasterCharge or Visa, please have your card handy. So call 1-800-345-6400. That's 1-800-345-6400. This is a free call.
More from Sue Leary and her organization Pro Kids when Donahue returns following these messages.
Meet Alfred, or Professor, as his friends call him. They've called him Professor since he discovered Huggies disposable diapers. He said Huggies have soft, gentle elastic to help stop leaking and help keep you dry and comfortable. Well, now the Professor's discovered new Huggies. New Huggies are even more absorbent, with thick, fluffy padding to help keep babies drier and more comfortable than ever. New, more absorbent Huggies diapers. Professor, you're a genius.
Colonial Builders has done amazing things in waterproofing damp, wet, unpleasant basements for over 6,000 homeowners in our area. Here we see a badly deteriorated basement with water seeping from the walls. Here, all moisture is released, and then Colonial Builders' exclusive hydro-channel system is installed. Walls are finished in hydraulic cement, and presto, a bright, cheerful new basement at your house. If you live within 50 miles of Toledo, you're in our service area. Call Collect for a free basement waterproofing estimate. Call Toledo 473-2771.
Ohio primary results tonight on 13 Nightly News.
I think you have to be able to decide what your priorities are and what you insist on for your quality of life. Now, I just went back to work, and my kids said, we hate this. You don't cuddle with us when you wake us up in the morning, and you're tired, and you're grouchy. And my husband said, forget it. He said, forget it. I like having a wife that's creative and expresses herself. I like to see you smile. I like to see you...
Forget what? Forget the job?
Forget the job. If you don't like the job, if you're worried about staffing, if you're worried about hassles on the job, which I was, working nights in a hospital, he said, quit it. This is your prerogative.
So what'd you do?
I quit it.
Is it possible that you were grouchy because you were not only holding on a full-time job away from home, but at home as well?
Yes, I was, but my husband got his consciousness raised. The children started saying, Daddy, you're in business and you can be home with us, so come on home. And he was, and he liked it.
Okay, so that was a plus then.
Yes.
All right, now that you're back with the piddly dap, what is it? Is he doing, is he still retained his enthusiasm for household responsibility?
Yes, he's got the 5-year-old at home with him.
Okay, here's my point. Most women, married women, who work outside the home are expected to continue to do the same level of work inside the home.
I was, and I resented it. And I told my husband that. I told him, get me a cleaning lady or something. I can't keep this big house, and I can't iron and go to brownie meetings and everything. And he finally said, it's more important. I see that you're contributing, and I never was aware before of the amount of things that you contributed.
So the family missed the slave.
Yeah.
So you said, okay, and you went back to slavery.
I think the slavery on the job was worse than the...
How come you're upset at that? All right, hang on just a second. What? What's the matter?
It isn't a question of slavery. I mean, her comment is, if you made the choice, and this is what I believe Pro-Kids is about, you have to make that choice. And if you find that you're not functioning in the profession you chose, which hopefully is parenthood, that if you find this other inflection, something else coming into your area is not working for you, you've got to drop it. You've got to see your priorities. And this is why I do disagree in one point with the gal from the military. If it's got to be your choice and you want to be home for those children, what if you find you're not happy with those children? Those children might be better off with a sitter. So it has to be a choice. You have to be able to decide what you want and what your children want.
Could we say something to that? We think that a lot of women give up if they find they're not good mothers, and they think they're not good mothers, but they've never really been trained for it, and there's no organization, nothing to support mothers. There's no professional organizations. Exactly. I'm lucky. In my neighborhood, we started a family center. It's called Beverly Family Center. I would love to see one in every neighborhood. There's one in Evanston, Family Focus, for mothers who are home to support, educate, relieve one another. All the other professions have this, the medical, the lawyers. But if mothers had that, maybe more mothers would find they could be successful at it.
I have two quick points. First, I think that a critical issue in the issue of parenting is the relationship between the mother and the father. I think that we cannot talk only about the parenting situation without talking about what kinds of situation do we have between mom and dad. The second thing I think also is that parenting is an issue, I think, of balance, that you need to teach your kid both to give and receive, and if a parent is only giving, the kid never learns to give back. So I think it's a balance.
We'll be back in just a moment.
Seems like everybody's dieting. Some people are even losing weight. They're on the AIDS diet plan.
AIDS has 4 different products. This one works for me.
AIDS is an effective appetite suppressant.
Helps curb my appetite, so I stay on my diet. Seems there's a right AIDS product for every dieter.
And I know they work, because these days, there's a lot more room in my elevator. AIDS, a name you can trust, in more ways than one.
A year ago, we had a new idea to bring legal services to people at very reasonable fees. Today, that idea has grown into the Hyatt Legal Clinics. The many people who come into our neighborhood offices can discuss a problem with an attorney for only $15. And if it's a routine problem, such as an uncontested divorce, bankruptcy, a will, or probate case, we have a standard fee. Hyatt Legal Clinics. Now there's no reason not to see a lawyer.
Hyatt Legal Clinics. Call 385-6000. 385-6000.
1905, America's bathing beauties take to the beaches wearing yards of cotton. 1917, the cotton begins to shrink year by year. 1933, physical fitness and looking trim become more important year by year.
Get ready for summer now, America. 1980 style, Vic Tanny style. Come to Vic Tanny now and get 20 visits for just $20. It's a great way to get in shape for summer. Men and women, hurry. These are the final days for this offer. So call Vic Tanny now.
Come to command performance for the looks that get the looks, for the styles that get the smiles, the cuts, the curls, the guys, the girls. Command performance, command performance.
Command Performance, the hair cutting place, Woodville Mall, Franklin Park Mall, Bowling Green. No appointment ever needed.
A few things. First, there are a lot more support groups than you think, okay, because I'm part of a support group from the church. Also, in France, they do pay the women to stay home and take care of their kids.
They pay them?
Yes, they do. I have a friend that lives there, and the women are paid to stay home. And if you don't feel it's in your gut to stay home and be a mother, or in your gut to go to work, then you have no way to go. You're going to be pushed.
The
And
only
if
thing
you're
I'd like
pushed,
to say
then
about
it's
that
not what
quickly
you want to
is
do.
that you cannot be sure how you're going to feel 20 years later, because I know a lot of people that have said they've regretted it, a lot.
I agree. There is no one that can take care of my baby better than me, and that's so realistic.
Yeah, but so therefore what follows from that?
Well,
I don't think I could go back full-time to work for many
What
years.
if you had to? What if your husband, something happens to him?
I could survive. We could survive.
On food stamps.
I really think so. We all could survive. We wouldn't
Stay
die.
home.
Right. Yes.
So single mothers with young children should not go to work.
Unless they really, really need the money. Yes, they have to.
I think that's a question we really have to get back to. Our friend Marilyn brought it up about what will society do for the women who do not have the choice. And it's true, we're sitting here talking about the luxury of having the choice, and we've got to do something about the others. I think just the fact that we're raising the consciousness of society, that society needs this job done because it's doing itself a disservice. It's creating a generation that's going to, wreak social havoc on us all. And if we could get that through all of society's heads, it's to the businessman's benefit as well as the mother's benefit to see that the women have the choice.
The woman over here just said that if you don't have to work, you shouldn't work. I don't have to work. I do work full-time. And I don't think anyone should tell me that I shouldn't work any more than I should tell you that you should work.
Well, no one can tell you.
I know. It was just one person that said it. But I feel my children have gained a lot since I've been back to work. They are a little older. I have a 13-year-old daughter. She has learned to cook. My 10-year-old does a real good job of cleaning, and they enjoy it. My daughter loves to cook. I wouldn't have taught her otherwise. She wouldn't have learned.
Why do you feel, or somebody that said, why can't a career mother be every bit as good of a mother as the mother that sets herself in front of a TV screen all day and lets the child run the street?
We agree. There's got to be quality. There's got to be quality.
A career mother should also have the option of having a child. She has just as much love in her to be a mother as the mother that can stay at home. I've been both. I feel like I love my child just as much now that I have to work as I did when I was at home.
Phil, first of all, we all get paid for staying home like they do in France. We get paid very well.
Oh.
And another...
Who pays you?
Oh, my husband pays me. Let me tell you, we have all the benefits for staying home. We don't have our children that are alcoholics, that are illicit sex, drugs, everything. We have it very good. And I have a suggestion to get money for the child daycare centers that this one gal was talking about. Let's take it from the federally funded abortion programs and have money then to take care of children.
Ma'am, I'm the one that went to the hospital at 4 o'clock in the morning and got the kid that had been abused. I'm the one that dealt with the 12 and 13-year-olds that were pumping out babies faster than GM can pump out cars. What I think you said, what you breezed over, is very important. Teach people how to be parents. There's a class for every form of cooking, every form of anything, but we don't know how to be parents. So back it up. Another thing, it bothers me that you're fragmenting us so badly. Okay, you're pro-kids. I got some people over here that are going to start a group, only 2 kids. They think you should be shot if you have more than 2 kids. Then we're going to have to start a group over here. For me, I'm not having any kids. I don't intend to. I'm going to work till the day I drop.
And that is a very important point. We have a choice. And people, if they just think about what choice they want to make, they'll make the right decision and go along together and share those choices.
Throughout the show, I have felt offended by the fact that I feel that I can work and I can love my baby. And maybe you may not be saying it right out, but I get the feeling that it is insinuated that you cannot love your baby as much if you work versus if you stay home. And
no, you can love them, but we're just talking about different experiences you've missed.
For him to know it, I think. If
I work
you see him
part-time, and I feel that it's the quality of the time that you spend with your baby. And that's how I feel.
But it's child psychologists say that the bond between the mother and child depends both on the quality and the quantity.
That's right.
A small quantity.
I'm home with my children, and one thing I resent is when people ask me if I work.
Why do you resent that?
Well, couldn't they ask me if I'm employed or something rather than...
But your point is you do work. You work in the home.
Yes. Nobody asks my husband if he works. They ask him what he does for a living, maybe, but not.
Yeah. So we talk about how important mothering is, but the culture doesn't seem to respect it.
Right.
Exactly.
What? Okay. What?
We are body, soul, and spirit, according to the Bible, and all parts of us need to be nourished. My mother went to work when I was 12. I missed her physical presence, and the emotional support was gone. It was devastating to me.
You didn't miss your father when he went away to work?
No. No, because my mother...
Is that natural, or is it something we're cultured?
I don't know.
In other words, but we make women, we penalize women. It seems that we do an awful number on women.
my own experience and my own daughter now, I would like to go back to work. She's 12 and a half. She begs me not to. Please, Mommy, don't go to work. I need you here. I don't want to come home to an empty house.
Aren't you glad you can afford not to go to work?
I am.
What would you do then for those who can't and the don't mommy?
I would say the government should provide, or churches provide, daycare centers.
Back in just a moment.
Meet Susan Anton and Susan Anton. And the perfect sleeper by Serta. I love the luxurious comfort I get on top. And I want that firm, deep inner support. So we both get what we want. Top comfort with deep support. That's firmness that feels good. Buy a perfect sleeper by Serta. Firmness that feels good.
Available at Baker Furniture, 300 Main Street, Delta, Ohio.
Clinton, Colorado. The sun hammers your eyes to a tight squint and cracks your throat with a dry, parched-out thirst. But one thing washes it clean. Nestea.
All over. Nestea tastes good all over. All over. Nestea tastes good all over.
No sugar, no bubbles, no additives. Just clean, light, pure tea.
It's all just for you at the Anderson's General Store. Our large selection of housewares and appliances will make your household chores quick and easy. For the home, you'll find many decorator items, including candles, crafts, and more. In addition, we carry a large selection of health and beauty items, and you can always depend on the Anderson's tradition of quality, special service, and low prices. It's all just for you at the Anderson's General Store.
Every weekend, you go to war against an army of grass and weeds. To win the battle, you need the ultimate weapon, a Weed Eater brand trimmer. It mows, trims, and edges quickly and safely with nylon line. And our tap-and-go head extends the cutting line with a simple tap. So look for the Weed Eater brand, the ultimate weapon for people with better things to do than their lawn.
Now available at Beverly Hardware, South Detroit, and Dan's Hardware, Stickney Avenue.
If you would like a written transcript of today's program, send $2.50 in check or money order to Donahue Transcripts, Box 2111, Cincinnati, Ohio 45201. Include the subject or the name of the guest with your request.
It's a fascinating opportunity, really, to eavesdrop on you, and thanks very much for the enthusiasm that you've shared, with which you've shared your feelings. That's a lot of folks at home are identifying, maybe some are disagreeing. Thanks to Sue Leary and to Laura Spazzeri, and good luck with your organization called Pro Kids. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a nice day.
Thank you.
Services provided and promotional fees paid by the following. The 1980 Ford Mustang. Enjoy the excitement of sports car performance and handling. Mustang, America's most popular sports car.
True Value hardware stores where quality, selection, and service are why they're #1. True Value is more than just a name, it's their way of doing business.